Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over the 10 most helpful vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. All of these vehicles are going to be useful for doing a particular thing or maybe multiple things, and all of them are going to benefit you in some sort of way as long as you own them. So let's go ahead and get started with number 10. At number 10 we have the Kasaka Submarine coming in at $2.2 million. Now the Kasaka, as I'm sure everyone is aware, allows players to launch the Cayo Perico heist, regarded as the best overall heist in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. For an average player, this heist will take about an hour to set up fully and finish the heist finale. However, the more you do it, the better you will be at it, and you can make this even faster. The payout is usually between $1.3 million all the way up to $1.8 million, making it one of, if not the best way to make money in the entire game. The Kasaka itself is also quite useful, allowing for fast traveling around the map for $10,000 initially, but only $2,000 after completing the Cayo Perico heist. The Kasaka can also be upgraded to hold the Sparrow within it, which is one of the best helicopters in the entire game and is very useful for grinding out the heist. So that's pretty much it for number 10. Let's move on to number 9. At number 9 we have the Pegassi Toreador, coming in at $3.7 million. The Toreador is the best anti-oppressor vehicle in the game. It has missiles with very aggressive tracking as well as pretty decent armor to avoid being taken out by a Mark II. I'd say 8 times out of 10 you will win a fight versus a Mark II with the Toreador because it is just that good. It comes equipped with a rocket booster as well and the ability to transform into a submarine. With all of these things combined, the Toreador is truly one of the best vehicles in all of Grand Theft Auto Online. It's also a 4-seater, so you and 3 friends can move around very quickly and in relative safety in a public session. That's pretty much it for number 9. Let's move on to number 8. At number 8 we have the Pegassi Weaponized Ignis HSW. Now this is exclusive to the expanded and enhanced edition of Grand Theft Auto Online on the next generation consoles. This vehicle is going to run you $3.25 million plus an additional $500,000 for the HSW upgrade, which means it is going to cost $3,750,000 roughly. The Weaponized Ignis is a very unique vehicle because it is the fastest supercar in Grand Theft Auto Online when it comes to racing, and it also has a missile lock-on jammer equipped by default. You don't need to get a Omni tech on this thing. Overall, the vehicle is very useful because of its speed and its mounted machine gun on the top of it, as well as its missile lock-on jammer. Great car, definitely pick this thing up if you guys have access to it. At number 7 we have the Cargo Bob, $1.8 million. Now this thing is very useful for running vehicle cargo, as well as any other mission where you have to deliver a slow vehicle somewhere far away from where your warehouse is or wherever you're taking your vehicle from. For example, with the ammunition deliveries, you can use the Cargo Bob to bring them to the drop-off. I would really only recommend doing this if the drop-off is super far away, because unfortunately the Cargo Bob isn't the fastest helicopter ever. However, the Cargo Bob does allow you to go as the crow flies instead of having to take roads, so it is going to be faster most of the time, I would say, and for $1.8 million you can definitely make your money back off of a Cargo Bob relatively quickly. Yes, you could steal one, but you're not always going to be guaranteed that a Cargo Bob is going to spawn, so I would recommend purchasing one if you use it often. Let's move on to number 6. At number 6 we have the Obey Omni EGT coming in at $1.8 million. The EGT is an Omni tech capable vehicle, meaning that it can be equipped with a missile lock-on jammer or of course the remote control device. Not many people are going to pick that remote control device, most people are going with the lock-on jammer. It can also be equipped with armor and a proximity oil slick mine dropper, so you can spin people out if they're chasing you. Now if you put the armor upgrade on the EGT, it can take between 12 and 20 RPGs, making it one of the most armored vehicles in the entire game. And additionally, with that Omni tech missile lock-on jammer, missiles will not be able to lock onto the car, making it that much more of a defensive vehicle. Overall, this thing is really good for free mode. It has great acceleration, pretty decent handling. Unfortunately, because it's electric, the top speed is a little bit weak, but it is still a pretty good car, I would say overall. Also has some good customization too. That's pretty much it for the EGT. Let's move on to number 5. At number 5 we have the FH1 Hunter coming in at $3.1 million all the way up to $4.1 million. You will need to own a hangar in order to get the most out of your FH1 Hunter, being able to upgrade it with handling and doing all sorts of other things to it. The FH1 Hunter, I would say, is the best vehicle for completing things like agency security contracts, specifically the gang termination contract, but it is also useful for pretty much all of them. It comes equipped with a 7 missile barrage, homing missiles that are fully spammable, and and bombs, and all of this is controlled by the pilot. If you have a second passenger in your FH1 Hunter, they can operate the grenade launching auto cannon that's on the bottom of this thing that will one-shot players as well as vehicles, which is insanely good, and it has pretty great range too. The FH1 is one of the fastest armed helis in the entire game, and all of these things together make it one of the best helicopters for doing missions like headhunter, security contracts, and anything else that you want to throw at it. It's also really good for PvP, so generally it's just a very good vehicle to have, and it certainly is very helpful. That's it for number 5, let's move on to number 4. Next up we have the Hikuchu Drag, HSW or not, depending on if you can equip HSW on your platform. The Hikuchu is going to run you just under $980,000, and this is going to be a vehicle for running the time trial that Rockstar releases into the game every single week. If you do the time trial every week, you will make $100,000. For those of you on the expanded and enhanced edition, if you do the HSW time trial, that is $250,000 every week. So basically, if you own something fast enough to do the time trials, you're going to be making an additional $350,000 every single week in Grand Theft Auto Online, which is pretty good. You're going to pay the Hikuchu off in just 3 weeks of doing this, and it's also a great vehicle to just get around in free mode if you don't have access to a helicopter yet or something fast to get around the map. The Hikuchu Drag with the HSW upgrade is actually the fastest land vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online, which is an interesting fact about it. Overall, it's a very good vehicle, and I would definitely recommend picking it up. That's it for the Hikuchu. On to number 3. At number 3, we have the Akula Attack Helicopter, coming in at $2.8 million if you have the trade price unlocked, and $3.7 million if you do not have the trade price unlocked. The Akula is a 4-seater attack helicopter with stealth mode capabilities, which completely removes you from the minimap as well as the expanded radar when it is active. Now, when stealth is activated, you cannot use any weapons on the vehicle, but when stealth is deactivated, the pilot gets access to dual miniguns. These aren't super good, but they're okay. The pilot can also get access to either homing missiles or a 4-missile barrage, depending on which you equip in the hangar, as well as bombs, so long as you also equip those in the hangar. The Akula is very useful for public sessions and PvP scenarios because of the stealth mode. You can get around the map with 3 other friends, which is very useful. I mean, if you can just surprise somebody with all of a sudden 4 players surrounding them and they had no idea you were there, that is a pretty big tactical advantage, I would say. The Akula is also the second fastest overall helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, and it is the fastest armed helicopter in the entire game. So you're going to be able to get around pretty quickly with this thing. And with the stealth mode, it is very good. So that's pretty much it for the Akula at number 3. Let's move on to number 2. At number 2, we have the Brigade 6x6 that was added with the Los Santos Drug Wars DLC. This thing goes for $750K once you've completed your initial 6 DAX missions, or $1,450,000 if you have not completed them. However, if your price on the Brigade 6x6 says $1.4 million on Warstock, because you're still not going to be able to set up the acid lab, so it's actually a complete waste of money. You still have to do the 6 DAX missions. They're pretty much going to pay you $750K anyways, so you almost get the acid lab for free. Also within the Brigade 6x6, as I've mentioned now, the acid lab business can be found, which is one of the best businesses in the game, especially for solo players. This is probably the least expensive business to run in the entire game. You don't have to put nearly the amount of supplies into the acid lab that you do for most of the other businesses, and the return that you get is very good, and it's also quite quick, coming in only 3.5 hours, which is very good. The Brigade 6x6 is also the second most armored vehicle in all of Grand Theft Auto Online, being able to take 48 homing missiles, which is absolutely insane, second only to the MOC, which can take 67. So overall, the Acid Lab, or the Brigade 6x6, depending on what you want to call it, is a very good vehicle. And technically, it's the only vehicle that can actually directly make you money, so that is pretty cool. Now it's time to move on to number 1. And at number 1, we have a vehicle that I never thought that I would ever put at number 1 on one of my lists. The Oppressor Mark II, coming in at $2.9 million to $3.9 million if you do not have the trade price. This is the most useful overall vehicle for getting around to businesses and doing missions in a quick manner in Grand Theft Auto Online. In order to own and upgrade the Oppressor Mark II, you are going to need a Terabyte so that you can put the missiles on it and stuff like that. However, you can still use the Oppressor Mark II without these upgrades, so that is cool, but half the point is to get the missiles on this thing. The Oppressor will allow you to get around the map extremely quickly, going from business to pick up your money or to resupply in pretty much an unmatched manner. It doesn't have the highest top speed, but you can get onto this thing and instantly take off, whereas with a helicopter you have to get in, wait for it to spool up, get up in the air, and then go. The Oppressor, you just get on and go. So it is a little bit faster generally than most of the other vehicles in the game, and it is pretty useful, as much as it pains me to say that. So there you have it, guys. That's it for the top 10 most helpful vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know what you thought of my list in the comments down below. Comment any other vehicles that you thought should have been on this list. Leave a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't, of course. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.